Hey folks, Zach Osterman, Indianapolis Star, Mike Niziolek, Bloomington Herald Times, Indiana 72, Northwestern 76. Just kind of, I don't know, there's like one thread to pull on in this game. It just like Indiana just lost. Northwestern led for almost 35 minutes. Northwestern had 8 fewer turnovers, 11 more points off turnovers. Northwestern out-rebounded Indiana. Northwestern won 12-6 in second chance points. About the only thing Indiana, I think, kind of did consistently well against Northwestern was, one, they defended Bowie pretty well, and two, I thought they got Northwestern out and running. There were a few times when Chris Collins had to be really exaggerated from the Northwestern bench about slow down, take your time. But then every time he did, Northwestern got its composure back. They led for the entire second half, and it was just another game where you feel like you're watching a team that has to play something close to its perfect performance to win, and it just can't do that.
Well, but Kel'el Ware said after the game they lacked energy. I think that they lacked a sense of urgency for nearly 55 minutes, and you can't do that. You want to win games that you're against teams that right now you're not going to out talent by a wide margin, and I think that's the disappointment of Indiana fans. But way too many mistakes, lackadaisical. There was a couple times where Mike Woodson said they didn't win 50-50 balls, but they just weren't diving on the floor for loose balls, weren't fighting for offensive rebounds. Their big guy Nicholson had more offensive rebounds than Indiana as a team. Some of those things are effort. I know scheme and players dictate some of it, but right now, this team just doesn't seem like it has a lot. It feels like it has a lot to play for.
Yeah, I think the thread I'm curious about, I guess, and I think what I'm probably going to write about is just confidence. Like, one of the many things that came up post game was Indiana's 12-21 from the free throw line. If Indiana had made 3 more of those, 4 more of those at the right. No, but I'm not even saying the game would be tied. It's more like if Indiana had put a few more of those on the board, the complexion of the game is different.
Well, there was a stretch where they missed 3 straight in the front end of the 1-and-1, and that would have made, I think.
And there was that they missed one of the 2 flagrant free throws when it felt like the building was trying to get up behind them, and they had, I think they had 3 straight possessions, maybe 2 possessions where they hit one of 2 free throws in each of the 2 possessions at a time in the game when it felt like they had Northwestern a little bit on the back foot. And they just kind of couldn't use, the free ones to kind of push the advantage and push the momentum. And Gabe Cupp said post-game, he said, we know we have to be better. We work on this all the time. We shoot so many free throws. And it's sort of one of those things where you look at it and you look at guys who statistically are better free throw shooters than, or have been in the past, better free throw shooters than they are right now. And you just sort of wonder, does this team lack a sense of belief? Cupp said something. He said it's all about the mentality you approach the line with. And it's just sort of like the body language from this team right now. They approach too many of these moments where they look like they're expecting to fail.
Yeah, but they were lucky to even have the game within range at that point to begin with.
Well, sure, but I guess I'm talking bigger picture a little bit. They seem to. This is body language, so let's be. I want to be careful not to put words in people's mouths. They look like a team that assumes the worst too often, and then that. Kind of self-perpetuates, I guess.
Well, but they were down, and Malik Manu fouls out with 7 minutes to go. He picked up 2 fouls within 9 seconds. I think that sort of deflated the team a little bit. There are moments like that just keep coming. That was the second game fouling out. Without him on the floor, Mackenzie Mbako really picked up the scoring, and I thought he had a really good second half. He scored 19 points in the second half, but looked as locked in offensively as he has all season. But this team just does struggle without renewing the lineup and another consistent option. So that they had that. Gabe Cupp's fouled out late. I thought he was probably behind him. Mbako had the best game defensively, held Bowie to 3 of 14 shooting. He didn't have a field goal, I think, until there was 8 minutes to go in the game, a made field goal. So those were kind of the positives, but just a team lacking direction right now, I feel like. Just kind of lost in kind of the season, going in a bad direction. The team played like it tonight. That they felt that.
Yeah, that's where I say it feels like I'm watching a team that's assuming the worst. Is that just kind of too many situations they approach. It just sort of feels like almost kind of, I don't want to say glass half empty. That's cliche, but you bring up, for example, Gabe Cupps, and I thought Indiana in general had a really good plan for Bowie. The way they brought Ware out on those screens, they didn't play any drop coverage. They pushed Ware. He was really good in space. Bowie was trying to kind of get around him, get him in foul situations. Ware played really well when he was out away from the basket. I thought it was a good night for him to put on his draft tape defensively. But then Northwestern basically just flips it, and they start running those actions through Ryan Langborg, and Indiana can't figure any of it out. And Langborg had 26 points. I would say at least 6 to 8 of Nicholson's points come in those screen and roll situations where suddenly Indiana, which is defending the screen and roll so well when the ball's in Bowie's hands on one side of the floor, just can't figure it out on the other side of the floor. It's just a team that doesn't feel like it's playing with just that confidence, that just sort of easy, the old sort of cliche about like playing without thinking. There's no instinctiveness. They have to, when you talk about diving on the floor for loose balls, it's like they recognize everything a half second late because they have to process everything. They're just not, they don't look confident and therefore instinctive and therefore just playing with a certain like rhythm and freedom and looseness that a team like Northwestern, I think it's fair to say, has.
Well, and that shouldn't be there at this point in the season.
Sure.
I know the record dictates sort of maybe some of that, but and Woodson has pointed to the youth, pointed to the sort of not having obviously Xavier Johnson as kind of one of the veteran-most players. But at this point in the season, that they can't just come out flat for 30 minutes. I think the excuses have sort of piled up at this point in the season. You can't. At some point, somebody's got to say enough and sort of fight through it. And they did get there in the final 5 minutes, but it's just not. At home, there was still a decent enough crowd. There were plenty of open seats, but this crowd got into it whenever they were trying their best.
Yeah, they were.
And they were searching for positives, but just not enough.
And it's also just the sign of a young team, a team that hasn't really figured out how to overcome its weaknesses. That they were able to do that against Ohio State. They were able to do that against Iowa here a few weeks ago, where Iowa comes back, takes the lead, they get together, they push back late. But teams that can't replicate that performance usually are they just struggle with consistency, and a lot of that comes with youth. It comes with leadership. It comes, it also just comes to with, they had probably 4 or 5 threes at least that were open, came in the more or less in the rhythm of the offense.
In the first half, especially, they had about
and moments when you felt like a made free would count for more than just the points, with the way that you talk about the crowd getting behind them and just kind of the momentum of the game. Again, like they won the fast break points 14-0. Like when they got Northwestern sped up, Northwestern really struggled. Northwestern, Chris Collins, he was never more demonstrative than when he was just trying to get his team to slow down and play calm. And when Indiana got Northwestern going too fast, that's when Indiana had real success. But then Indiana would hit one of those stretches and it would miss a shot that it kind of needed to make. Where again, it's not just the benefit of the points, it's also the momentum and the building is loud, or it would get 2 free throws and it would miss one of them, or it would miss the front end, or it would give up an offensive rebound. Northwestern shot 35.4% from the floor, but Northwestern also attempted 12 more shots than Indiana in this game. So think about how many more possessions that is. It just feels like a team that really doesn't have a lot of faith in its process of winning right now.
Well, I turned to you at one point in the game. We don't have that stat sort of database, but how many times have teams lose shooting 35% or less? The opponent shoots 35% or less, and they shoot 50% or better. That's what
at home.
And I think you pointed out that on social media that they would take a lot of this box score in terms of how things ended up, the way Bowie finished. 35%. 3-point field goals are 8 of 23. A lot of those came late in the game. 3 of them came late in the game. So there were things that they should have won this game probably.
I think it's fair, but they didn't, and they're now 14-11. Is that right?
Yeah, and 6-8 on the
6-8 in the Big Ten. They're here at home Wednesday night against Nebraska, and then they'll be at Penn State over the weekend. Until then, for the Indianapolis Star, the Bloomington Herald Times, he's Mike Niziolek. I'm Zach Osterman. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.